Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing? We have experienced the biggest technical challenge, but we just thought to keep trying. And then, of course, eventually it is coming through after 15 minutes. So I don't know. I think we're here right now, and we're just going to go ahead with this class. We have tried for the longest time to come live with both of our networks. I don't know if the strike action is also affecting the network providers. Well, it shouldn't be, but for some reason it's been crazy coming live. But we're here now, and we're going to make the best of it, even if it is for the we're hoping for the best, fingers crossed. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Skillup show. This show usually will start at 1 p.m. But we're sorry, we're starting a whole 15 minutes behind time because of the technical glitches that we have had. All right, so my name is Maribeth Chima, and I'm the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. And today we want to look at some of the effects that screens have on early learners. It's such a critical subjects that I thought we needed to have a conversation about it or around it. And so we decided to have that conversation today. So yes. Are you here? Are you a toddler parent? Are you a parent of a young child? Are you a parent of a preteen? Are you a parent of a young person, basically? Then you want to come in and you want to, stay on in this class so that we can have this conversation. If you're catching the replay of this class, also let me know that you are here. Okay, let us know that you popped in here or that you were here for the and then you actually went through the replay of this class so that I can see clearly. It's even dark here. I had to move out of my usual studio, hoping that that will make, that was probably the issue, right? Why we weren't having good, reception and all of that. So, yep. Yes, so if you are a toddler parent, you're a parent of a young person, or you are a parent of a preteen, then you need to be on this show right now. In fact, if you're a parent of a teenager, you may have one or two things that you could take away from this show. Okay, my screen is even slanting. Okay, that you can take away from this show because we are talking about screen time. So in June, at the academy, we're going to be doing a lot around the sex conversations and conversation basically. And so we're going to be touching on issues that, in one way or the other, right, is connected to the sex conversation. Issues that if we don't get right now can actually open up our children for sexual abuses and behaviors and practices that can encourage sexual abuses and stuff like that. So that's why we're having this conversation, because of course there is no sex conversation without tech conversations. So we're looking at the effect of screens on early learners, and then we're going to look briefly into how these can open them up, right, for negative sexual practices or negative, or open them up for predators and people who influence them negatively to have access to them just because of some of these practices that we did not curb or we did not pay attention to when they were much younger. All right, so we have heard many times, you should have heard by now, that the best way to connect with your child, right, the best way to connect with your child, the best way to establish a relationship with your child that can last a lifetime is by the kind of attachments that you develop or the child develops right from when they're very little. And it is said that the secure attachment is actually the kind of attachment that is prescribed, the attachment where your child feels safe and your child is confident that no matter what happens, you are always going to be there for them. All right, when your children are attached, or when our children are attached to us this way, okay, then they trust us, right? They trust us. They believe that we'll always be there. They believe that no matter what happens, even if everybody in the world disappears, you will always be there. So that kind of attachment makes it possible for you to build the best kind of relationship, makes it possible for them to trust you completely. And then of course it helps you connect with your child in a way that will support them in their as young children and even all through their lives. This is the kind of attachment, or this is the kind of relationship that we all want with our children. A relationship where our children can trust us, our children can be open with us, our children can open up to us, our children can reach out to us for support, and our children will always be connected to us. That's the relationship that we are looking at, or that we are all hoping for and working towards as parents. Now, there are certain things that we ourselves as parents can do that can sabotage that relationship that we are hoping that we can have with our children. That's relationship that is our intention from the beginning, right? There are a couple of things. I mean, there are things that we can do that can hinder this relationship, and one of them is introducing screens to your children very early in life. When we introduce our children to screens and we help our children, and by that introduction, we enable them to begin to depend on screen. We are knowingly or unknowingly putting them in that place that would distort or will affect our relationship with them and our ability to bond with our children. It is funny that we do not know this. It is funny that we don't pay attention to these things. But introducing children to screens very early in life has got a lot of negative sides. Yes, negative sides. I know some people would argue, all right, a lot of parents will argue that, oh, when I give them my phone, or when I give them a tablet or a computer, or I put on the TV for them, it helps the children to learn. Okay, that's what we hear. We hear that children learn from screens, right? Don't get it twisted. I actually, this is gone. All right, so don't get it twisted. I'm not saying this because 100%, my children don't do screens or that. When they were younger, I was not in that place also where I thought that they were learning from, screen time, TV, and all of that. But hey, if you go deep and you look at it, you will realize that there is very little or no learning that is really happening there when our children are glued to screens, and all that, especially when they are really young, especially when they are less than 1 year old and even up to 3 years old. There is hardly anything that they're really learning from from the screen. In fact, the negatives actually trump the positives, right? So if you ask, there is really no need why our children should actually be depending or should be in front of screens before they are 3 years old. All right, there are studies, and there are a lot of studies out there that have shown that children actually do not learn from screens before they are 3 years old, and that the negatives or the adverse effects of screen time on the children far outweighs whatever positive or whatever gain we think that they will get from depending or from using screens. I know from a parent's perspective, right? I know that when you hand them those screens, I'm so sorry, our source of power, that was one of the issues that we had earlier on. Also, our source of power that we were depending us on as a second source just went off. All batteries are dead. I guess it's the strike. All batteries, all charged batteries are all out. And of course, we don't have the usual normal electric supply, and then all of our batteries are flat. So we're thinking we could get something to replace that, and we did, but it didn't even last for more than 20 minutes. We're so sorry about this, but hey, the message trumps the screen, right? So let's go with this. I am sorry about this, but hey, it is what we have, right? So let's go with it. All right, so yeah, so the gains actually and nothing compared to the demerits of having our children, depend on screen, or having our children put in front of those screens. Even if it allows us time to do our own work, allows us time to cook. I remember when my son is 15, almost 15, and I remember how when he was very young, I used to proudly say that my son is a one-man army. I used to proudly say those things, right? Because I would actually put him there, and then I will put the TV screen, I'll put the TV on, and then I will leave him there, with toys, and then I would walk away, and somewhere at the back of my mind, yeah, he could stay on his own, he could do things on his own, until I started learning. It was when I started learning that I realized that the TV wasn't actually the best way, and that there are other ways that I could actually engage the child without having to have the child glued to a TV screen that was overstimulating the child. And so the moment I started learning this and applying this, I realized that I was helping the child, I was purging the child of all of that extra, or all of that, high dose of stimulation that the child didn't need at that time. All right, so we're going to be going straight into looking at some of the things that your screen time, some of the things that introducing screens early to your children can cause, okay, that is negative. And when I'm talking about screens now, I'm talking about handing your child a phone to play with, okay, all of those cartoons, you just put the cartoon and you give the child, and the child is there. We have series of them. I don't have a toddler right now, so I don't know what it is that you're watching or your toddlers are watching right now, but I know there is Coco, they're all of them, right? Let's not even go mentioning. So I know that there's so many of them, right? And then we just hand them the phones, or we hand them a tablet, right? So most times it's a phone or a tablet, or the TV. All of these are screens. When we say when we're talking about screens in this session, that's what we're referring to. When we hand them our phones, when we hand them our laptops, the palm tops, and all of that, the TV screen, and all that. So these are the things we're talking about. And we say from 0 to 3, it has adverse effects on your children. And even after 3, if it is not controlled and it is not limited, it's still harmful to your children. And even for your preteen, I'm talking about your 8, your 10, your 12-year-olds, if you do not have a structure around it and you do not have a limit and a boundary around it, it still affects your children negatively. So I'm going to share with you 5 things or 5 ways that you may be sabotaging your child by putting your child in front of a screen or handing the child that phone and all of that. If you are not, if you are still doing that, it's something that you may want to look into as fast as possible so that you can help your child begin to unlearn or purge your child of all of that screen addiction. Because without knowing it, your child is probably addicted to screen already. And I hope you know that, what do you call it now? Is it not the principle, basically the concept behind addiction, whether it is substance abuse and all of that, it's the same kind of it's the same process that is happening for a child that is addicted to TV. That is the same process that is happening to a person that is addicted to substance and all of that. So it's addiction, and your child may be addicted at this tender age. So one of the first things that you need to know, and this one is very critical, is that excessive or early introduction of screen to your child and excessive use of screen to older children can actually lead to poor language skills, right? For the younger children, it can actually lead to delayed language skills. Yes. Now, if you want your children, and this is how nature has done it, this is how God has made it, okay? Children were actually, programmed to learn through play. So language is supposed to be learned while our children are having interactive play or imaginative kind of play. So when your child has their toy and the child is playing with their toy, and those times you hear them having a conversation with their favorite toy and all of that, that is your child developing language, okay? You don't have to teach them this. You realize that on their own, they get into the space where they actually would put their toys and put their stuff together and begin to speak with them, have conversations with them, and all of that. A lot of that conversation, or how your child is going to have that conversation, first of all, is going to be borrowed from the environment, your environment, how you talk in your environment, the kind of language that you use, okay, and how you use language. So the child is going to learn firsthand firsthand from you. So you want to pay attention to your child when your child is playing with their toy. You will see a bit of you in how your child, interacts with their toy. Now, if you are the screaming and yelling and shouting parents, you will see your child doing the same thing with their toy, punishing them and telling them they are in trouble and whooping them and beating them and all of that. All right. If you are a parent, you need to pay attention to when your child is playing with their toy. Your toddlers, your 0 to 3 year olds, it's firsthand, as in firsthand feedback to you as far what it is your child is learning from your environment. But that's like the easier, that's one of the best way and the most authentic way that our children learn language. Okay, through their imaginative play and through their their interactive play and their imaginative play. So interactive play, the ones that they have with you and with their friends. So when you play with your children, so that's why we advise that parents play with their children. You do those role plays together. You put out time, right, that you just leave everything else, drop the phone, drop everything, and you actually play with your children. And in those times where you're playing with them, you want to use rich language. You want to speak to them like you know that they can hear you and you know that you are modeling to them. No baby language, not any of those things. You want to speak to them the way you want them to speak. You want to use the right kind of diction the way you want them to use the right diction. You want to use the right kind of words the way you want them to use them. Now, when you do this, it is interactive play. And why this interactive play is happening, your child is learning. Now, when you put your child in front of a TV, what your child is doing is passive play, or your child is just passively being engaged. The child is not having any interaction. The child is just an observer. So your child is not doing. Okay, so nature has created it, or nature has programmed it that children will learn through doing. So that's why doing, there's that saying that tell me, I can't even remember. It says, show me, no, tell me and I may remember. Show me, no, tell me and I will forget. I may not quote it well, but basically say, tell me and I may forget, I will forget, or something like that. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I will learn. Okay, so that's it. So when the children are involved, when the children are doing, that's where learning actually happens. Authentic learning happens. So that's how nature has programmed children to learn language. When you interact with your child, when you play with your child, and I hope you know the language of learning for a child is play. So when you are doing any activity with the child that brings a sense of satisfaction to the child, as far as the child is concerned, this is play. So for you, it may not be outright play, you may not be throwing toys all around the place, okay, but you're doing an activity, probably singing nursery rhymes, doing a role play, showing them what to do in a situation, okay, doing it in a fun way that makes the child laugh, or just being there as mommy or as daddy, and the child just enjoys to do stuff with them. For the child, what is going on there is play, provided you are not yelling and screaming and getting all angry and upset, provided you are in there in a way that the child is enjoying your company. That child is playing, okay, because the child is getting a sense of satisfaction from that activity that you are doing together. Now, the kind of language and all of that you speak there is going to teach and help your child improve in their language. And when you put screen in front of them, it doesn't do the same thing. When you put screen, all your children are doing, they are copying and repeating. Okay, it's copy and repeat. It's copy and repeat. Okay, you know how the way we talk around our children. Okay, I saw a video the other day of a child that was really very upset about the new Nigerian anthem, and she went on and on and on how the anthem is this, the anthem is that, and all of that. But then again, look at it. Where do you think that's coming from? You think that's the child's assessment? You think that's the child's, assessment of their anthem? No, it's not, right? Children will sing any song. As far as the child is concerned, that anthem is just a song. The child will sing any song. So if the child is saying the anthem is rubbish and all of that, the child is just regurgitating what the adults around the child have gone on saying over and over again. The child is just repeating what the adults have said. So sometimes we need to be, we need to know these things basically. So children will sing, so when you put the TV, all the child is doing, the child is just copying, the child is listening. Remember, your child is in that space where the child's The child learns through the child learns from the things that they see, the things that they hear. They are highly sensory in their learning. So if something is in the child's environment and the child is listening to it, the child, of course, is going to learn, right? The child is going to hear what the child is hearing, and the child is just going to continue to repeat. Okay, but when the child is doing and is involved, the child is more, the child learns actually from it. All right. It's dark, and I don't need these glasses, but I need to use it because it's really dark. All right. So we want to pay attention to that. We're going to come back, later to how this, not paying attention to this could actually affect your child probably later in life when they begin to make bigger decisions in their life. Okay, it also makes the child restless and impatient. Okay, now when our children are watching those things on TV, on the phone, and all of that, you know how it is. Everything that happens when they're watching the phone is really watching those videos, those cartoons, and all of that on the laptops, on the palm tops, and whatever. Everything is fast. Those cartoon characters, everything is fast. Now, this is your child being programmed, basically. The cartoons are fast, the actions are fast, everything is fast. Nothing is realistic. It is actually just fast. And basically, this is your child that is in that place where the child is absorbing everything. So your child is being programmed, that everything is fast, everything, lots of pictures, lots of colors, lots of actions, a lot of things happening around them and all of that. So you realize that in reality, when your child is in real life situation, the child cannot delay gratification. The child cannot be patient. The child cannot sit in one place. The child is restless because the child has been programmed, with a lot of colors in those cartoons, a lot of movement, a lot of things, the cartoon characters are all talking, and all of that. So basically, it puts your child in that space where your child is not living, authentically, not living a reality. Your child is programmed to be like those cartoon characters. Your child is programmed to to have all of this stimulation at the same time, just the way the child, experiences it when the child is on your tab or when your child is on the phone or watching TV. Okay, it also reduces their attention span. All right, it affects their ability to concentrate. You know that. You should know that. It affects their ability to concentrate or to pay attention to anything for too long. And it's still because of all of that excessive stimulation that happens when your children are watching all of these things. Okay, they watch all these programs. It's a lot of singing. It's a lot that is going on there for the child. And so you program your child to be like that. Okay, it helps the child lack situation awareness. Have you seen a child when they are watching those cartoons? Have you seen a child when you hand the child your phone, even your 12 or 13-year-old? Have you seen them when they are engrossed? When they take those phones and they are watching those things, they are totally oblivious of anything that is happening in their environment. They are fixed on what it is that they are seeing. They are so fixed and all of that. So when you introduce your children to screen early, so it simply means that you have introduced a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old to a distraction that is long term. So right from when they are 1 or 2, they have started being distracted. So imagine the level of the distraction by the time they are 8. So you would have programmed a distracted human being right from day one. The way we're going, it is said that in a couple of years from now, the level of distraction management that we will have to deal with because of how distracted our children are is just explosive to even think of. So this is why we are talking about these things today, because really we are the ones, we are the ones, we parents, we are the ones that are putting the children in this space where they cannot delay gratification, where they are restless, where they cannot stay committed to anything because of the way we've programmed them from the beginning. And then these days, what do? We will not gather in our small meetings or our groups, and then we complain about how Gen Z, they are not committed, nothing is serious for them. No, we programmed them that way from the beginning by the way we paced their lives from the beginning. Nothing is real real. Okay, it's not the usual. You wake up in the morning, you get your toys, you get your stuff, you put them together, you engage with nature. It's not the easy, simple curiosity, exploring, waiting, trying to find out what will come out of, what it is that you're exploring, staying there. No, it's not that. Doing and having to wait, it's simple. You just sit down and everything begins to happen in front of you. Everything. They can actually go, they can watch like 10 cartoons. Have you seen a child that is really addicted? He goes from one program to the other. Have you not seen them? They will go from one to, a child can be watching 2, 3 programs at the same time. And you want that child to be normal. They can't be normal. All right. So that's why we have children who are not committed to anything. They are fast-paced in everything. Anything that is not working, they just bail out. I mean, they get out. Anything that is stressing them, they don't want, and all of that. It is the way they've been programmed from the beginning by, hello, me and you, their parents, basically, if we are not learning these things and we're not doing anything about this. Okay, the next one, number 2, is it makes the child disconnected from family traditions. Yes. Okay, when you introduce your children to these things, okay, what you're doing is, for every time your children are watching these shows, they're excited and all of that, dopamine, okay, the feel-good hormone is actually pumped into their system. And it's not a bad hormone. I mean, we all get that dopamine when we win, we get it when something pleasurable happens to us, and all of that. But in the case of a child that is constantly giving those screens and is there, what it means is there is an excessive release of this hormone in the child's system. And when this happens, it inhibits the child's ability to think critically, it inhibits their brain development, basically. Okay, and so the child is going around with overload of it. That's why they are hyperactive a lot of the times, because too many feel goods, that kind of thing. Have you seen a child who is really addicted to screen? You will see a program come up, they are jumping, they're excited and all of that. It's excess of this, hormones that is driving them. Now, I'm not talking of children who probably have, children probably have learning, challenges already, okay, and all of that. I'm talking of children who have not been diagnosed with any of these things, and yet we are the ones that are bringing them to that place where they have to start dealing with this. I mean, we have heard that. I mean, in recent times, we're hearing about, screen autism and all of that, how this excess hormones and all the feel good and all of this that's going on in the child makes the child become hyperactive. The child cannot sit anymore. So you give your child a condition that the child has no reason or no business with, just because of what you have exposed the child to. All right. And when the children are like this from when they are 3 and when they are 1 and 2 and 3 and all of that, by the time they are 5, they are 6, how do you think that family tradition, we're just all going to just go and sit down and just have barbecue, everyone is sitting and talking? No, they are fast-paced. These things are not interesting to them. Every time they are addicts. It's the way the person that, is addicted to drugs is twitching and is scratching and is itching when they don't have a dose of it, to put in their system. It's the same thing with the kids. So that's why you see them at every point, their eyes are like always looking for what it is to entertain themselves passively, basically, because they need to keep themselves in that place of constant dopamine hype, basically, right? Because of what it is that we have exposed them to. So we need to be careful about these things. So yes, these kind of children they won't be committed, right? They will disconnect from family. It will affect your connection with your child. It will affect your ability to bond with your child, because what have you done? You have replaced yourself, or you have replaced human beings in the child's life with screen. So all the child needs is to have a screen in front of them, and they are okay. They don't need nobody. So when you see this Gen Z tell you they don't need nobody. When you see Gen Z tell you, you see young people tell you, I don't give a hoot. I don't have to have friends. I don't have to get married. There is that whole dependence on tech. There's that whole dependence on screen, such that there is an illusion, right, in their minds. They are delusional. There is an illusion that they really do not need people. Have you gone to a party where you have teenagers with their gadgets? Have you gone out to a gathering family gathering or a party and all of that, and you have teenagers who have phones with them. Do you see what happens? Do you see what happens? Do you know you can actually walk into a gathering with 5 teenagers in there, and they will stay in that place for 2 3 hours, and not one of them will say hi to the next person. In fact, the most they can do or will do probably is say hi if they have a mother that's probably going to give them a side bombastic eye or something like that. But apart from that, they just come in there and take their seat or hi, and that's the only thing they will say. Now, right there, in the presence of all the adults who are there, they are saying straight up, I don't need nobody. I've got my phone here and that's it. So that's why you see that they will go any length. They will do anything, right? Children that have been introduced to these things and have been, given access to these things, you will see that it's like death when you try to take it away from them. Your 13-year-old that you've introduced to, or you've given access to phones and this gadgets when they are 8, 9, 10. We see all kinds of things. 8, 9, 10. By the time they are 14, you now say you ground them and then you take their phone. They are practically twitching and scratching like someone who has missed a dose of cocaine because they are that addicted. It's that bad. So they go to school, they cannot even focus because they are waiting. They cannot wait to get home to go and grab their phone. Have you seen? Pay attention if you're parents and you have teenagers who have phones. This happens even amongst young adults. You have girls, you have boys who are in their 20s, 21, 22, and they can't make any meaningful thing out of their lives. All they're thinking of about at every time is how to return back to their phones. They go to work. For those of them who even try to get jobs and all of that, they go to their jobs and they cannot stay away from their phones for 10 minutes. It's like there's a constant pull to that thing. It's an addiction. Okay, don't do this. Let's not do this to our young children. Let's save them. It's our responsibilities as parents to preserve our children's innocence for the longest time. It's our responsibility to allow our children be close to nature and reality for the longest time. It's our responsibility to allow and help our children connect with humanity, socialize and build social capital and social network for the longest time without the distraction of these gadgets. The earlier you give these gadgets to your children, the more damage you put them in. So for a parent who hands a gadget to the child, I mean, for some of us, the children do not even need to own gadgets. They've always had gadgets. They don't need to own one that you say, oh, this is your phone. Right from when they were 2, they've always had gadgets. At 2, they were already operating. 3, 4, at every point, they have always had access to your phone. So when people gather on the table and they are saying, my children don't use phone, don't come to that table at all. Your children have had phones since they were 2. Because really, what is the difference? You hand them your phone, your adult phone, that anything can happen, and then you give them these phones, and then you are there saying they don't have phones. No, they have phones. So in fact, they probably even have that phone or own that phone more than you. There are some parents that their children practically own their phones because the moment the children are in the block, the moment their children are at home, that phone is even more with the children than it is with their parents. We know what we're saying now, right? Yes. So this is it, and these are the issues. So your child, this also helps, it makes the child disconnect with you, okay, disconnect with family. They even disconnect with their schoolwork because even right there in school, all that is at the back of your preteen is how they need to get home and grab their phone. This is the reason that some of them will even sneak the phones to school. For those of them in day schools, they will even sneak the phone. You need to listen to your preteens and your teenagers when they are having conversations with their friends. I do that a lot these days. Okay, I just put my ear there like I'm not hearing. You will hear all kinds of things. The ones that they don't report to you directly, the ones that they will say to you directly, or the ones that they will say when they are with their friends and you have the privilege of hearing because now your house now. Do you understand? You will hear some of their friends will sneak these things. It's addiction. They can't stay away from these things for too long. And so we think that it's just about having a phone in their hand. No, we don't understand the damage that this is doing to them, the lack of connection, the disconnection from everything that is important, the disconnection from everything that is not a lot of energy and passive entertainment to the children. All right. So if we don't do that, our children will actually disconnect from family traditions, and they are more drawn to passive entertainments, and all of that. So this is very key. Hi, Malojo, how are you doing? All right, so number 3 is it distorts your family values and cultural values. So your morals, your family values, all that cultural value, it's distorted. It makes it very difficult for you to actually control, okay, quote and unquote. It makes it difficult for you to control what it is that your children believe in. It makes it difficult for you to pass down your value or help your children uphold that value for the longest time. Because most times what they see on this screen, a lot of time is not in tandem with your values. All right. So you put the child in a space where the child is constantly having to choose, which one do I go with? Is it what I watched here? Is it what so this is why we say preserve their innocence for the longest time. And in that time, grind your values into your child. Grind your values into your child such that when the child is old enough and the child has access to these things that we're talking about, at this point, the child has a sense of reasoning. The child understands the why behind everything that your family values are. The child already has internalized your family value as their GPS. Okay, that's what we say in the mastermind circle. Okay, so the mastermind circle is the peer mentorship and accountability group that we run for young children. All right, we work with children between ages 6 and 14. So in the mastermind circle, we refer to our family values as our GPS. So basically, when you have your GPS, it simply means that you are covered. You may be going to a destination and you lose your way, you lose track of that destination, or you lose track at some point. But because you have your GPS, what does it do? It helps you, it redirects you back on course, right? So you go to a wrong path and your GPS will go, and then it says, and then it begins to look for a way to bring you back on the path that is taking you to your destination. This is what our values do for our children also. Our values are like that compass, that GPS that will help our children navigate the world. And so the longer our children stay and internalize, understand, and practice these values, right, the more they will become a part of them and they will internalize this. So even when they grow older, or for some reason they lose track, or for some reason they get sweet, this GPS will always reconnect them back on track because they have internalized it. I guess this is why scripture says that we should train up the children in the way that they should go, and they will not depart from it. It doesn't mean that the child will not make mistakes. It doesn't mean that the child will not fall at some point. But you see, because you have trained them in the way of the Lord, because you have followed the principles, because you have followed a standard, it is easy for your standard to become the GPS that brings them or reroutes them back on track. This is very, very key. But if we start introducing all of these screens and all of that early, it means that at 4, your child is already seeing so many things that are contrary to what it is that you are saying. At 8, do you know what your children are watching? Some of us pride ourselves and we lie to ourselves and say we know what it is that they watch. Oh, we have this parental guidance and everything. Do you know these children will beat you to read 10 times? They will beat you to read 10 times as far as navigating around the phones and all of that is concerned. Come on, you are a migrant and these are natives. Okay, it's like going to the village and you want to tell the child that was brought up in the village which path to take and get to his father's farm. He just tells you, follow me. The 8-year-old tells you, follow me. And he will go a whole 3, 4, 5, 6 kilometers on foot and he's telling you where exactly. I remember when we were younger and then we'll go to the village, and all of that. And how our cousins who lived at home would just be like, the days we say we're going to farm, we got job and all of that. And you see them, you are wondering at the back of their mind, how can they remember this part? It's like deep. I'm from Cross River, I'm from Ogoja, so we farm. Do you understand? So we're going in and I'm like, what is going on? You leave the house at done, say at 6 a.m., and you don't even get to the farm till like 7:38. And for 1.5 hours, one 8 or 10-year-old is the one leading the way all the way. It is because he's got his GPS, basically. So that's the same thing, we do with our children, with our values and the morals and the culture that we have, helped them internalize without the distortion and the confusion of what it is that they are seeing online, basically. All right. Now, do you know? I just started realizing, right? Do you know that sometimes the people around you, right? The people around you, the sites that they go, it could even be your neighbors, it could be that older kid, that adult who stays out in your home, or that adult who comes around your home, probably a relative and all of that. Do you know that the algorithm, has a way of, bringing up the things or the sites that people around actually visit, and all of that. For you as a parent, you probably, I don't know you, and we know ourselves, dear parents, there are all kinds of parents out there. It's your phone, and there are things and places that you probably go to in that phone that your child has got no business with. And then you hand that phone to the child, and in your mind, he's just going to watch Coco Melon. Who says that all of these other things will not pop up on his way to finding Coco Melon? All right. So these are the things. Why stress these children? I hope you know that what it is that our children experience, the experiences that we get cannot be peeled. The brain does not forget. I hope we know that. So we want also, what we're saying is let's protect our children for the longest times, that they don't for the longest time, so that they don't have certain experiences at all. Because the experiences that we have, the brain will not erase. The brain does not erase anything except probably amnesia or dementia or something like that comes. One of those things comes and erases. But the brain naturally is not built to erase your experiences. It stores up your experiences until there is a similar experience or something that resembles that experience that you've had. The brain will go and dig the first experience or previous experience that you had that resembles what it is that you're experiencing right now, and the brain will give it to you. So that child that has stumbled into a sex scene cannot unsee it. That child that has stumbled into, whatever it is that is on that phone cannot unsee it. So why don't you spare the children this thing? This wahala, basically. All right. So number 4, it actually so I talked about that. I said it sways them. All right, let me see. I said early exposure leads to varying perspective. Yes, all right, that's what I was trying to say. So when your child listens to you, he watches something, the perspective there is different. In another movie, the perspective is different. He watches one cartoon, and in that cartoon, there are 2 mothers and 2, in one cartoon, there are 2 mothers. The child has 2 mothers. Another one, the child has 3 fathers. And then he comes to his house, there's 1 mother and 1 father. Why are you having your 5-year-old juggle these issues already? Okay. And then, of course, if they are in an environment that this is, why would you not put them in a situation where you have had to educate them? Okay. You have had to educate. I hope for those of us who are in societies where our children have classmates that have 2 fathers and 2 mothers or 3 fathers and all that, I hope we have taken our time and we have made this part of our curriculum, our sex curriculum at home, that we teach these things and make them understand, and then let them know our perspective as a family to this, and what our faith and our family values, what it says. Equip your children so when they go out there. But in this case, you are handing it to a 2-year-old. How have you equipped your 2-year-old? You have handed that phone to a 18-month-old. How have you equipped the 18-month-old child? You see, so the later it is that your child has got access to this gadget that gives them access to the entire world with just one click of the button, the better for you and for them especially. All right. Now, traditional games, storytelling, and all of these things are things that are very rich. They're a rich part of who we are. They're a rich part of any family. They're a rich part of our culture. They're a rich part of who we are as a people. Now, when your children are adversely, attracted or addicted to screens, you realize that you will struggle with having this kind of time in your home, because what you see is, in a typical home where gadget is a thing, you will see in the evening the dad is sitting somewhere with his phone, mommy is sitting somewhere with her phone, the children, each of them with their tablet, the one that is watching a movie. That scene is becoming more and more common in our homes. At what point are you going to share these family stories? At what point are you going to have these traditional games? At what point are you going to share these moments? So you see how these gadgets come in and they erode all of the tools that we have to use and raise our children in an authentic way, creating authentic experiences, right? Quality experiences for them. We erode it and we have only one system. They go to school, they wake up in the morning, we say prayer, they go to school, they come back, they eat food, they do homework, they finish doing homework, everybody will connect with their gadgets. They finish connecting with gadgets. Every other thing is, have you done this? Give me water. I'm sorry. Get out of there. That's all that happens. And before you know it, this is the experience that your child knows that is family for 10, 12, 18 years of his life. Wake up in the morning, eat food. Oh, your classmate has a party. Drive them to the party. They enter the car. Just these, as in very basic experiences. So how are you going to bond? How are you going to create, all that it takes to have strong family connection? So this is why there is all of the struggles. Okay. Now, should I go on? Okay, inhibits independence. Of course, it will inhibit independence. Children are glued to those screens. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to learn anything. So when you find children who are constantly glued to screens, you realize that they are not interested in other skills that are hands-on. Yes, children who are glued to screens are not usually interested in hands-on, skills, basically. And then the next thing that you will hear, what we hear these days, oh, I want to be a TikTok influencer. I want to be a YouTube influencer. Oh, my child is the influencer. My child has the highest number of what. At the end of the day, you ask yourself, what skill is driving that influence? What skill, who exactly is your child influencing? How exactly is your child influencing this person or these people? What exactly is that child influencing? What impact is that influence creating? Now, how sustainable is that influence? So we put our children in that space where they think that all you need to do is know how to dance all the latest step, and then they go, they do. And of course, people like to dance. Click, 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 click. They're all clicking, they're dancing, they're all clicking. How sustainable is that? Is your child going to dance at 20, at 30, at 40, at 70, at 80? Is that all that they're going to do? Just dance for people to click? So basically what I'm saying is, you can say to me, oh, there are older people who do this, who do that today, okay, who are sensational on social media and they do these things. But have you forgotten that these people, a lot of us, okay, this 60-year-old man, the 70-year-old grandma that is on TikTok that you are using as a whatever, as a benchmark and all of that. Have you noticed that these are people who already learned real skills? These are people who already have real skills. But what we're doing with our children today is we are introducing them to these things way too early. So your 11-year-old is already telling himself he wants to be an influencer, because he wants to twerk and influence. He's already telling you he wants to be an influencer because he wants to sit down and play a game and influence. He's already telling you all of this. Now, the sad part, or the part that is scary, is the fact that they are addicted to these things and they do not want to learn real skills that will help them thrive in that and in many other areas. So this is the challenge. The challenge is, when they get addicted to these things, they just think of the money or the monetary value that is attached to these things. They don't think of the mastery and the skills that they need to get. So we are confusing our children by handing them this gadget and allowing them be on this side where they are having a negative perspective of what money is and what wealth is. By the way, have you registered your child for our foundation class for financial education for children? We want to set children's brain to start seeing things the way they truly should be. Pop culture is confusing our children. The society is confusing our children about the things that wealth is and how money should be interacted with. And we are here aiding and abetting. We're aiding all of this as parents because we are not paying attention and we're not thinking beyond the now. If we do not program our children or set them on a path that actually infuses the right knowledge, the right mindset, we're going to lose a lot of those children pursuing and chasing things that are not real. So what you want to do is, while your children are seeing the things in their environment, you want to make sure that at every point their heads and their mind is in the right place. So they know that so many things happen around them, but they understand what the ideal thing should be. They understand principles. They understand values. They understand the real thing or the real way that these things should work. Let your children not move around thinking that when you have, you must carry your bank on your neck. Let your children not move around thinking that until someone knows how much you are worth nothing. Let your children not go about thinking about that every time people open their mouths and say, why are you acting like this? They should turn and tell them you are poor, so you don't have a reason to ask me, or you don't have a reason to, try to understand what it is that I'm doing. It's all of this is a horrible mindset that is going on around, and your children are seeing these people, and these are the people that are bold and loud, and so these are the people in the face of our children. And so if we are not filling the vacuum and we are not teaching them what true wealth, what true money, or how to interact with money, and how to build the right money habits, and how to build all of these things, the right mindset, if we're not teaching them from an abundance place, we're going to have children who are confused about what money, what wealth is, and how to interact with it. Very key. So if you have children 8 to 15, you want to hurry up and register them for this course. It's happening this weekend. Okay, so we call it the foundation class, foundation class for financial education, how to raising children. No, how did we put it now? It's called the Becoming Financially Smart and Understanding Purpose. That's the course. Becoming Financially Smart and Understanding Purpose. It's a foundation class for young children between age and 15. Okay, so you can send us a message, or at the end of this, just check the description. You will see, what it takes for you to register your child for that course. Just check the description, and then on Facebook, just check the comment section. You should see that. All right. So the last thing I'm going to talk about today is, if you give your children and distract your children, with all of these gadgets and all of that, then your children will not understand the place of personal development. So children who are usually glued and addicted to screens do not want to develop themselves. There is so much time wasted on doing things that are not pumping adrenaline or pumping dopamine into their system. Anything that will mean them stopping to do critical thinking, to plan, or to try and execute, they don't want. Because when they have the gadgets do not allow them do any form of critical thinking. When your child is using a phone and is watching all of this, he doesn't have to do any critical thinking. He doesn't have to do any of these things. He's passively engaged, basically. All right. He doesn't have to plan anything. He doesn't. So when you want to start talking personal development, it's a bore. So your child, and this kind of children usually do not even want to read books. They don't want to read books. They don't want to get knowledge. They don't want to be involved in anything. They don't want to do any of these things. And so because of this, you stop your child from being that powerhouse that God has created them to be. So he built the children from being able to find the giants that is within, because they are not willing to stretch themselves beyond that thing that entertains them. Period. So your child cannot be wholesome this way. For some of us, oh, they play games. Oh, when they play those games, they learn how to attack. One of the kids was trying to explain to me during our session, right, why he needed to create video games, and all of that and all of that. I don't have a problem with these things. So I have a problem with balance, and I have a problem with your boundaries, and I have a problem with when your children have access to these things, and I have a problem with what they understand already, basically, right? And I know that if children are introduced way too early, then the place of all of this understanding is eroded, because the child is already nose deep, is already addicted. By the time they get to 12 and 13 and you're trying to make them understand, you handed them phones since they were 2. So it becomes a Herculean task, basically. You know how we say that the best time to help children learn skills is between 0 and 6, right? Between 0 and 6, the time that they learn in the most authentic way, whatever skills, from organization to music to language to math concept, all of these things, it's that time. All of it is between 0 and 6. Now, after that, for every year, more, the child has to work extra, right? The child has to do extra, right? And then it can't even be done without the child's motivation. So as your child is at 12 or 13, it will take extra work to help them unlearn the things that they've learned in the last 13 years. And without the child's motivation, the child agreeing that I want to be a part of this unlearning, are you going to unlearn for a person? You can't unlearn for them now. So you see, a lot of times when we drag our children here, you drag them, all those things you are doing. It's you are actually fulfilling, or you're giving yourself a reason to sleep in peace, knowing that I tried. But the real time to try is as early as possible. Okay, the real time to try is as early as possible. All right, so it becomes more difficult, with every passing year, basically. All right, so these are the things, these are the issues and all of that. So let's tie this to the sex conversation, okay, and see. We'll do this in one minute for each of them, and we'll be gone exactly 1 hour. Okay, so let's look. We started by saying that our children will get delayed language speech, language developments, screen time and all of that could affect this and all of that. But do you know that when this is the case with our children, when you have children who don't develop language, you have children who don't build that communication, communication skills and connection with you, because at the time where you should be building this, you were too busy working or doing stuff, and you handed them phones and handed them things and all of that. What happens is there are always ripple effects in parenting and in our children's growth, basically. The experiences that they have, as I said before, experiences are built upon experiences. Do you get? So for your child that has not learned, the use of language properly, you have not taught them, how to engage in conversations, you've not opened lines of communication, you've not taught them how to, speak with you, you didn't have time to build that over the years. And because the child was building that with their TV and your laptop and your palm top and all of that and all of that, what happens is by the time they are older, that communication it doesn't come freely, it doesn't come easily. So if your child is exposed, or for some reason a predator, a sexual predator, finds their way, to your child, there are chances that this child will not open up to you, or this child will not run to you, or this child will not easily communicate this, or may not even have the right language to communicate to the extent of what it is that has happened or is happening or is about to happen to them, just because the children did not learn to have conversations with you. They didn't learn to have conversations. The time we should be building this in our children, we were all busy with our gadgets, and the child was busy watching all the cocos and all the whatever, all the cartoons and all of that. So These screens take away your time to bond with your children, takes away your time to connect with your children, takes away the time to build conversations with your children, takes away the time to teach your children to use the rich language to express themselves and all of that. And all of this, if it's not done early, the child will struggle with this. Some of us think because our children come and they say, oh, in school, this happened. You feel that when they're in danger, they will be that, open. These are the kind of conversations. Your conversations have been top. What happened in school? Oh, do you know, Nehemiah fell today? And then our teacher and I said, but the deeper ones, you may not know it, but your child is not giving you that because it doesn't happen automatically. It's the relationship. It's the how you have taught them, how you have modeled having conversations with them. Okay, and those things take time. It's difficult to actually achieve them if you already have gadgets and phones and all of these things in the way. All right, so that's very primary. We need to pay attention to that. Okay, we talked about restlessness, and all of that. A child that is restless, a child that is restless, is always impatient, is always too many things. I said at the beginning when they are introduced to all of these things early, the stimulation, there's hyper stimulation that is going on there, all the color, the fast cartoon, all of those things. You realize if this is the energy that your child carries into their preteens and all of that, then your child is actually exposed to people who are into substance abuse and all of those things. The child will be drawn to their friends or their peers who are also hyperactive. Their body is always those kind of children that cannot stay in one place, those kind of children that constantly need activity, those kind of children that anything to keep their spirit high. Your child is already used to passive things making them high. These are the children making them high in that innocent highness. Okay, these are the ones that are constantly, have you noticed your children who are always on gadgets are the ones who are constantly telling you, I'm bored, because they can't self-engage, because they cannot engage with things in their environment. They cannot engage with anything that is not passively entertaining them. So these kind of children will always look outward for their satisfaction, outward for their entertainment. So these are the ones that are drawn to certain people. When they meet friends who are like them or more than them, they become slaves to those friendships because they can't walk away from them. These are children who become people pleasers because they depend on those people to constantly give them the high that they need. Remember, your TV started doing that. Your laptop, your iPads and all of that was doing that. The child has always been someone who has been entertained passively. And so, yes, he has to continue. So when they meet those friends that they don't want to, so this person can treat them badly, they need to stay there. They need to keep staying there because they have become addicted, right? Addiction is a default, programming for the child. It started right from when they were 1 and 2. Now, it's very easy. Imagine that person is into substance. It's very easy. Likely that your child is going to be. Imagine that person is into porn and all kinds of, sexual negative practices and all of that. Chances are your child will be easily influenced. Remember, that person has become an addiction to your child. So these are part of how, if we don't deal with things early, they would spiral and the ripple effect will lead to more trouble when they become preteens and teenagers. Okay. All right, we say it makes the children disconnected from family traditions and all of that do not mean anything to them. So these are the children, very likely you see them closer to their friends, right? Closer. We know that, yes, as children become adolescents and all of that, they seem to want to do more, with their friends. They seem to, they want to, good afternoon, Olutosin. Thank you for joining. All right. They seem to, want to be like their friend. They want validation from their friends and all of that. But do you know that when you have your family values, you have your GPS, even while your children want validation with their friends and all of that, they are still guided by those boundaries and those values. Yes, that's the thing about values. That's why you need to teach it as early as possible. They are still guided. And of course, when you have taught your children to use their voice, you realize, yes, they want to be like their friends, but it does not stop them from saying, no, I'm not dealing. It doesn't stop them from saying, I don't like this. It doesn't stop them from remembering that they can stand up and walk. According to my coach, you are not a tree, you can move. So you realize, even at the time where your children are influenced by their peers, nature, naturally, and all of that, they still do not lose their voice. They still have their inner GPS that's been created by your values. They still have their control that has been created and bounded by your family traditions. But if you don't have those traditions, you did not allow it grow, because when the children were young, the only thing that you were all doing was one gadget, and that gadget, your child is watching this cartoon to next cartoon, they watch, some of them will watch you on that tablet till they sleep off. That's when it ends. And day in, day out, this is the practice. You don't have family traditions that allows everyone drop this gadget and connect. It's that connection that will save your children in the days where when negative sexual practices and practices that opens them for sexual abuse and sexual preferences come in, and all of that, because of the values that you have. Gender confusion is not a problem with your child. You already have your values from the beginning, where you know what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. There's some kind of clothes we don't wear. There's some kind of ways we don't look. There's some kind of things that we don't dabble into. Our children already know. They're 15, almost 15 and 9, and some of the things that my daughter already knows, that we don't do bomb shots. Take your bomb shot. My daughter already knows. And you know something? It's okay that you do bomb shots, right? It's okay that you do bomb shots. But my daughter already knows that we don't do bomb shots. She didn't know that when she was 15. So she didn't have to come with her bomb shot. And I'm like, no, 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 it's not acceptable. Right from when she was 3, she already knew that, no, no, no. See that one? We don't wear it outside. We don't do that. And all of that. So what is it? Put these things in place so that there are no confusion, right? There's no confusion. Our son already knows. No, in fact, we didn't need to say that. We have conversation. We've been having. See, so that's why you're opening these sexual conversations. For the longest time, open it and keep having it. Okay, keep having it. So when we want to have conversations like, okay, what do you think? What do you think about boys plaiting their hair? What do you think? And it's like, kind of looks cool, but it's not me. It kind of looks cool, but it's not me. Why does it think it's not me? Because it's not us. Period. It's like, it's not me. I'm like, oh, sometimes it's like that too. In 4 years time, nah, never. It's not me. As in, I don't see. It's not appealing. It's not appealing. It doesn't represent the gentleman that I think of myself as. Now, I think it's cool on him, and I'm sure he feels cool with it. It's a thing. We're tolerant like that. But now All right. I'm so sorry about this. Okay, so I think we'll just round up. I'm sorry. I mean, network has been such a challenge. I'm even so glad that we had stress free for so long till the end. All right. So I'll just round up. So I talked about that. So when we have these, our children are able to go back and fall back, on these things that we are talking about. Okay. Where did I stop? And then what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Okay, we talked about independence. Yes, we talked about independence. Of course, when our children I mean, the gadget inhibits their ability. They don't want their willingness to engage in skills that are practical, skills that are hands-on, and all of that. So you realize they just want big things, right? Most children who are addicted to screens, who are addicted, they know all the things that happen online and all of that. You realize most of them, their ambition is to hit big money, is to hammer, is to blow, is to all of that. They have all of these vocabulary that they use for quick money, basically. And so that stands in the way of them doing or wanting to do things that will build their skills. I always encourage young children, build skills when you're young. Build a skill that can allow you stay in your home, stay in Rome, stay in Dubai, stay anywhere in your village, and you can still be impactful, and you can still be impactful, and you can still create value. Have one skill like that. Have another skill that you can actually put your hand to and create things, right? Put your hand to and create things that are, physical and things like that. Things that, would leave you with a product that you're handing, a product that will outlive you, something like that. Products that will outlive you. Create products that will outlive you. Okay, I mean, we still talk about Michelangelo. Okay, we still talk about Da Vinci. We still talk about Albert Einstein. We still talk about Thomas Edison. We still talk about all of these great people, the Wright brothers. Okay, we're still talking. I mean, we'll continue to talk about Elon Musk forever. We will talk about Mark Zuckerberg forever, and all of that. So let's teach our children. We will talk about Dangote as far as Africa and even beyond Africa goes. We will talk about Dangote. So create things that are tangible, okay? As much as you want to create things that, are up there in the air, nobody can relate to you, but we want to create things that are tangible. So teach your children, the tangibility of skills and all of that, right? So that children do not just think that all I need to do is to twerk, all I need to do is to, let them think of things, let them think of more. Do you understand? More than just entertaining people. All right. Yes. And so we talked about self-development. So when you do this, your children are not interested. Okay. So you want to keep those gadgets, introduce them to mentors. Yes. Introduce them to mentors, introduce them to accountability systems, introduce them to pair groups, introduce them to gatherings where they can meet like minds. All right. Sometimes your children think that everybody is like them, their cousins, and probably their classmates who all they talk about is gadgets and football and da 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 da. All they talk about are these things that are up there. You need to introduce them to gatherings where you have children who love the same things that they love and are still doing other things that are impactful. Children who are children, let them know that they have the capacity for more. Recently in the mastermind circle, we created, the children and I, each of them, I had one-on-one session with them where they created their goals for this quarter, from June till August, to the end of August and all of that. And while they were creating that, while we're doing that, one of the kids asked me, what if I don't meet these goals? And I said to the child, what if you meet the goals, right? What if you meet the goal? And the child was like, I said, how would you feel? And it's like, I'll feel happy and I'll feel proud of myself. I will feel confident and all of that. I'm like, good. Is that enough motivation for you to want to push and create that, fulfill that goal? And it's like, yes. And I'm like, that's it. So if you don't meet the goal, nothing will happen. We won't shame you. We won't beat you. We won't do anything. But if you meet that goal, it will do something for you. It will make you confident. It will make you feel better about yourself. I mean, feel good about yourself. You make you feel confident. It will make you trust in your own abilities and all of that. So you need people who are corroborating what you are saying to your children, people who are speaking the same language as you. We need partners. You need collaborators. That thing they say that it takes a village to raise a child, it's never been a lie. It wasn't a lie yesterday. It's not a lie today. It will not be a lie even tomorrow. Back in the day, our parents had neighbors and brothers and cousins. You all lived together and they could raise. Today, we don't have all of that. In fact, we're becoming more and more isolated thanks to this thing. Okay, we're becoming more and more isolated and all of that. So yes, you can leverage, right? You can leverage this same thing that wants to come and make a mess of you. We can leverage it and create a village. Okay, can leverage it and create villages and create connections, and create systems that will co-parent with us, will collaborate with us to, guide our children and all that. And that's where the mastermind circle comes in. We run the peer mentorship and accountability group for children between 6 and 14. When they turn 14, after their 14th birthday, we graduate them before they turn 15. We graduate them to go and do bigger things, to now go and direct themselves, to join big teenage programs where they can actually begin to, practice, what they've learned. They can, begin to take the front stage in their own lives, and begin to really put all of it out. But when they are with us, we are building their foundation. We're stretching them. We're showing them that they can stretch themselves. We are calmly guiding them, right? We have zero shaming in the mastermind circle, but rather we are calmly following up, guiding them, offering them the accountability that they need to trust, the accountability that they need to believe in themselves, the accountability that they need to begin to get a sense of satisfaction from what they're doing, the accountability that allows them to see their own competencies and begin to believe in their own abilities so that they can be self-reliant. This is it. So we have the new cohort of the Mastermind Circle. It starts on the 1st of September. So you can actually book a slot for your child today. Okay, you can book a slot for your child today with just 5,000 naira, get your slots, and you can start paying instrumentally from now till September. The fee for an entire year is 6,000 naira per month. So for a whole month, we are with your child from the 1st to the 31st of the month, every day, all through the year, we are with your children, and you're paying just 6,000 per month. Divide it by, divide what you pay their lesson teacher for math, and all of that. But in a month, how many, what's the ratio basically? All right. So what we do here is massive, is huge, is bigger than anything. Most of the things that you can think of, yet it's that affordable. So the mastermind is 70,000 for an entire year. That is less than 6,000 naira per month. So yes, you want to register your child today and begin to make that payment gradually so that you can round up before the 1st of September, where we can roll on this journey. It's one of the best things that you can actually do to your child right now. It's one of the best experiences that you can give your child right now. So that's the information you have right there on our screen. You can take a screenshot of that information and use it, or you can reach out to us on our phone number. It's everywhere, 081-306-21566, to be a part of the Mastermind Circle. It will be a blessing to your child, and certainly it will trickle down to you. So thank you very much, parents. Remember, there is no sex conversation without conversation about technology and what technology would do to your child, or the damage that it would do to your child today will spiral into their teenage, their preteens, and even into their teenage. So don't take anything for granted. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you. I do not take it for granted for allowing me be a part of your journey today, part of your parenting journey. All right. Thank you for being here. And for those who have caught the replay, let us know where you joined us from, and let us know in the comments if you got value in the session. Have a fantastic day. Bye. And a blessed week ahead. Yeah. All right. My name is Maribai Chima. For those who joined in the middle, okay, my name is Maribai Chima. I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. And yes, I am the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle, our peer mentorship and accountability group. And I'm signing out. Bye.